I'm going to say this right here from the get-go. What I'm about to show right now seems to be some kind of rumor and leak that was actually brought up back in January. And apparently it's going to lead a lot into the new game we just saw today, Sonic 2022. And I really want to talk about this primarily because you guys showed so much love and support on the stream today. But honestly, I kind of just want more from this new game. Those of you guys that saw the new trailer, it was just 30 seconds of Sonic running, something super new, and a logo, and saying that it's going to come out in 2022. But in actuality, where I'm actually getting this information from is, one, we know the game is supposed to be called Sonic Rangers, and that's because when they actually released a 4K version of the new Sonic game teaser, you can actually data mine the actual video itself. Obviously, anybody can do that with a computer, and within its files, it actually shows, say, Rangers teaser, Rangers_Sonic teaser. So this is really, really strange because this is the same kind of format that, developers usually use when they're calling something. I don't know why they did this or why something like that got out, especially knowing Sonic fans. This really makes sense because this is just shown today. And what makes it even more believable is because like I said before, back in January on the 6th, this leak about a Sonic Rangers came out, saying that this was going to be the game. And I'm going to read out what this new leak is going to say and everything so you guys can see it. So if you guys are excited for this, I don't want to be that Sonic leak guy, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm sure all of us want to know a little bit more about the Sonic game, and this one actually seems to have a lot of credibility behind it. So if you guys are hyped for more Sonic news and all this other Sonic stuff, then you guys should definitely subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Let's see if we can hit 11K. That would actually really help me out. But enough promo stuff. Let's talk about Sonic Rangers. So I'm going to put it on screen right here. So basically, this person's saying, I did a focus test for a new Sonic game called Sonic Rangers, which is an open world adventure game which takes heavy inspiration from Breath of the Wild. Did 2 demos, a 20-minute long exploration of the whole of the open world, and a final boss battle. Open world is populated with small enemies, puzzles, and platforming challenges. Completing puzzles, challenges, and enemies rewards XP, which can be redeemed in a skill tree. This is so freaking cool, dude. It legitimately sounds like RGG Studios, the people behind Yakuza, another branch of Sega. It sounds as if RGG is making this. That's really cool because they're known for their skill trees, and making a skill tree based Sonic game sounds awesome. Skill tree unlocks abilities such as the spin cycle, where, like it's like washing something, where you hold Y, Sonic starts tracing a line behind him. And if you finish a circle, it attacks all enemies inside the circle. It kind of reminds me of the one Wisp in Sonic Colors. Lock on attack returns. This is one I wasn't too sure about. I'm not sure if they're talking about the way the Werehog attacks in Sonic Unleashed in the Night stages. I don't really know what kind of lock on attack they're really talking about. I don't think they're talking about homing attacks, but they could. Homing attacks in this 3D open world space could also work and would probably be appreciated. So I'm going to assume it means one or the other. There are bosses spread throughout the world. Defeating them grants orbs. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild, where you can find a Hinox or anything like that around the world. So that makes sense. Honestly, that's really a good way to flesh out the open world. Because what's the point of an open world Sonic game if there's not a ton of crap to fight and do and spin through? That really sounds like it would be really boring. So I'm glad they seem to be fleshing something like that out. If you get enough orbs, you can go to a portal and go to cyberspace. What the heck? Cyberspace levels are generation style and the music goes hard. Hold up, dude. Okay. I only got to that last part about defeating the bosses of the world. I didn't actually read any further before this video because I thought it was super cool and I wanted my first reactions to this leak in this video. But holy crap, dude. Man. Cyberspace levels are generation style. Like the regular generation stage level style. That is really cool, and the music goes hard. And it's funny, the cyberspace thing makes sense because people were talking about these little purple squares that seem to be going behind Sonic when he was actually boosting in that new trailer. You guys are seeing that playing in the background. Sorry, there's not much footage to go based off here, but that makes sense. That whole cyberspace scheme makes a lot of sense when you see this. Beating them fast enough grants Chaos Emeralds. That is cool. Getting Chaos Emeralds. Okay, so it's getting enough ore. This is literally a special stage. It's a 3D special stage. That's so cool. And getting Chaos Emeralds. I wonder if it's tied to like a true ending. Exploration and combat was super boring, very button mashy, but whatever. That's not a good sign. That makes me think about the werehog in Sonic Unleashed. I hope there's more time to flesh it out, because they said they did this test for it, but that was back in January, and the game isn't supposed to be coming out till sometime next year. So they have a lot of time to actually flesh out the combat more. As long as the combat is in some way, in some form or fashion, it's progressible. Because as the whole skill tree continues, this person said they only had a 20-minute long exploration of the world, and they only had the one focus test alongside the boss battle. So I'm not too sure what point of the game they made this person test this new game in, because at the end of the day, I think that's kind of subjective, because at the end of the day, there's tons of time to focus that. That's like playing a game or an RPG and judging the combat based off the beginning of the game, because by the end of the game, if anybody who's played an RPG knows, you're gonna be freaking doing all kinds of crazy stuff by the end. And I bet you, because it's skill tree based, this thing can kind of progress at your own pace. The progression of doing this isn't locked behind beating the game or something like that, or getting to a certain point of the game. Beating enemies gives you orbs and stuff like that. Beating enemies rewards you with XP, as it said, that can be redeemed in the skill tree. And because it's open world, there's tons of enemies that'll probably be constantly respawning. So you can literally just grind it out and get a bunch of different skills that you want. Most people probably won't play that way, and I'm hoping the progression won't really make me feel like I need to do that, but you can make really cool combat in a Sonic game. Sonic combat doesn't have to be too difficult to accomplish. It just depends on how they're going to implement Sonic. Like if they're making a werehog, that's one thing, but from what we're seeing here, it doesn't seem like it's going to go that way. New voice acting by Roger and no one else. This is shown before. We already thought that Roger was out by then. So the fact that he already said Roger was going to be happening, Roger probably had to keep quiet. This is crazy. And was present, so they're definitely sticking to the general theme at least. So it's going to be the whole meta area of Sonic, I guess probably with a similar kind of style as Generations and Forces and things like that. That kind of theming, maybe not as dark as quote unquote dark as Forces, but probably not around the same way as Lost World. But I'm thinking more Generations and maybe Forces too. And I'm not going to complain about that. It's Roger after all. Now for the final, I think, boss. After gathering all the emeralds, you can then cut through a thick fog you couldn't before in the open world. Oh, so there's areas you actually can't access until you get abilities to do so. I'm hoping that's not necessarily what it's saying. It's saying when you gather all the emeralds, and I'm hoping there will be inaccessible parts of a world, and as I progress my character, then I can start accessing these areas you wouldn't normally be able to be a part of. And that just makes the most sense to me. I feel that's the perfect way to balance an open world game, because at the end of the day, Breath of the Wild was kind of similar too. As you started doing all the divine beasts, you get new abilities that make interacting with the world easier, with like Daruk's protection, Rivali's Gale, all those things just add as extensions of Link. And I hope that the skill tree, which again wasn't present in Breath of the Wild, is the smartest move for Sonic, because at the end of the day, Sonic can already do so much stuff. So if you're going to make an open world game with him, it's not going to really feel fun to have him super broken by the end. When we played Breath of the Wild, we started off not being able to do crap. That's why we started doing those beginning shrines to give us, our runes. That way we'd be able to actually do something and give us new ways to interact with it. Because again, we couldn't interact with the world really at all besides fighting things, and that's basically it. But then we were able to break things, soar past things, all these kinds of things. We were able to drag stuff out of things, and we were able to interact with the world a whole lot more when that happened. Instead of having to swim across the water, we were able to make ice and climb across it. And I'm hoping Sonic does something similar. I hope he'll be able to run on water and things like that, but I'm not sure what kind of abilities they'll give him outside of combat maneuvers. But if they give us abilities that let us actually interact with the world differently, I am all for that. But Gigantic tree robot thing is the boss. Is I guess. Fly around it as supersonic, utilizing spin cycle and other abilities, mainly mashing buttons. Can't take damage on a timer of rings. A ghost girl refills your ring count multiple times. Demo ended after defeating the boss. That's definitely probably not the final boss, but the fact that you can't take damage on a timer of rings and the ghost girl refills your ring count, I'm not too sure what they're doing there, but I don't know. That's kind of sus. I don't really know why. I don't know what they're doing with that, but either way, it doesn't sound like something I'd like. So I hope that's something that gets reworked. The game is still definitely early on in development, but it was rough. Not a fun time from what I played. But there's actually another page that they said. They said it wasn't like a Ubisoft clone, because the person was asking if it's like Assassin's Creed. But they said, think Breath of the Wild, but shrines are just puzzles around the map, not a separate building, and there's nothing to do. Also, I forgot to mention in the post that there are Korok ripoffs that are little rocks, and I'm surprised I forgot, because whenever you find them, they follow Sonic and make the most annoying little twinkling sound every time you ran. Why? Yeah, I don't think he liked it. You give them to this big rock guy at the top of a Ubisoft tower. There's only one though. It had grind rails. Grind rails in a whole open world game? That's kind of cool. I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, obviously, I probably think differently than this guy because he actually played a game early in development. And if you've ever played a game in like early access and stuff like that, this is like probably pre-early access. So he probably had to deal with a lot of crap. As cool as this definitely sounds to me, this is probably way earlier in the development cycle. So it probably was really rough. But I can envision what they're trying to do. This sounds really, really cool to me. I genuinely think this is going to be a really cool game. And if it ends up announcing that this is Sonic Rangers, I'm going to believe basically everything on here. But of course, we have to take things with a grain of salt. It is a leak, but again, there is a ton of facts actually supporting this. It actually is. So I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. And besides, a lot of the opinions he litters into this passage, you can tell that obviously some of this stuff isn't going to be how it's going to be at the very end. It could be some things like, oh, this kind of feels mashy here, but that depends on the point of the game he was in, or before they actually add more to the combat. I doubt people would really enjoy their favorite games in their pre-alpha states. So it's like, I think it's going to be good. I honestly am really hyped for it. I was hyped for the game already, but seeing this really did it for me. This really did it for me. I'm super excited now. But after hearing all this, are you excited for this? I would definitely love to come back to this topic again. I might make a video if you guys want it, making a rework of this. Like, I'm gonna go over everything this person talked about again, except how I would change each individual things. This video was just kind of to go over it and react to this kind of thing. But I would love to actually go over and say, okay, with this idea, I would rather go like this, etc. If you guys would want that sort of thing, leave a comment and let me know. And subscribe, because you wouldn't want to miss a video like that. I wouldn't. But I would really appreciate any kind of support you guys can give me. I really am loving the Sonic videos, so I hope you guys are too. And stick around, because you might end up seeing something else you like Dragon Quest, Zelda, Final Fantasy. I do all kinds of stuff here. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is KingdomAce, and remember, my warriors of courage, to stay strong, stay beautiful, and always look skyward. Later.